And so tonight, the topic that I'm going to share with you, let me just share the slide with you. All right. The topic that I'm going to share with you guys today is fostering an entrepreneurial culture in a multi-campus through the entrepreneurship ecosystem. So before I start, let me just introduce myself. My name is Lee Xing-Xian. I'm a Unowake Center's head in Utah. Unowake in Utah, actually, it's a combination of two words, the Utah innovation. Utah, as per all of you know, that it has two campuses, one in Song Ai Long campus, and the other one is actually located in Kampar campus. So being a university by the people, for the people, is actually set up by Utah Education Foundation, and we are a non-for-profit university. Okay, as today we all know that most of the people has been with this pandemic situations and MCO, especially Malaysia, quite a lot of us actually are wondering how our future students or our future generation will be. And the university also see that as what we call as a trend or as a direction that we need to actually cultivate more students and also staff to have this entrepreneurs mindset. Okay, and through collaboration that I will share more later on with other universities, today I will be more focused on how do we leverage on multi-campuses and form an ecosystem, right? Particularly focus on entrepreneurial mindset, the university student to have the mindsets of entrepreneur. All right, so let me go to the next slide. It's always a bit challenging. Like I said, or we all know that a lot of people say in the academic world, it's very hard to change the mindset of the people there to have what we call a business mindset, or in short, an entrepreneur mindset. Okay, so to have these two core axes, I would say is a challenge, and this is why at the university, quite a lot of university actually, they form a center just focused on making sure this academic as well as the business world can be merged, or at least can be working together, right? So the whole idea of this is actually we want, right, the students to have the prepare themselves to have some entrepreneur kind of mentalities. They might have actually the talents or the interest to involve in business developments, to set up their own companies, to venture into entrepreneurs as a whole. Now, a lot of people would say, what is the difference between businessmen as well as entrepreneurs? Well, my interpretation, there's so many definitions in Google, but my understanding is basically we wish that a businessman that have a vision and a mission, and especially they can create some sort of societal impact to the community. Meaning to say is like, well, we will say Steve Jobs is actually a very successful entrepreneur. So in this case, why we say so is he has actually led the Apple as a company to have created a very strong impact to the community. And we all know that Apple basically had changed the way we live. And another sample or example could be Jack Ma, that we know that actually Alibaba as a company, as a very visionary and missionary company that has actually changed the way we live again, right? And we actually has almost all of us has the habit of buying things online. So that could be the reason why today a lot of people say they want to be an entrepreneur rather than say I want to do business. But actually, I would say these two words are interchangeable as long as they are interest on bringing impact to the community. So how do we do this, and how this thing happen in the university? It has to be aligned with the Ministry of Higher Education's kind of a policy, And you can see in this slide here, I'm not going into the details. We can see that, all right, so there are 5 strategies actually in the Higher Learning Institute that already put into ecosystem what we call framework. And you can see there are quite a lot of engagement, meaning that we have to get the staff, the students, the university itself, as well as the industry, and as well as the community to be the stakeholders. Meaning to say, if we want the students to be able to actually venture into this kind of entrepreneurial kind of culture, we need them to be able to have engagement, or actually to get involved in a lot of activities that involve the staff, okay, the university itself, the industry, as well as the community. So on the right-hand side, this is what we do at Utah. I would say it's structure. How do we actually want to get the student on board, especially for having this entrepreneur kind of journey? Understand that in the university, a lot of people actually say that we are academics, yes. And we really focus on the bottom part, which is we would say the technologies or some sort of research and development and studies of some fundamentals, the theory and all that comes in. So by having this, actually it forms a very strong foundation as a university, and this is what we have in the academic world. To go forward is actually we need to build something more application or more related to the needs of the community. So this is what we call the second level of the infrastructure, all right, or in this ecosystem on how do we apply. Meaning that whatever we learn, whatever we develop, and whatever we in our research can commercialize, or at least it can be applied, all right, in a very what we call today's context, we call it innovation comes in, right? And we can say we have developed a lot of things as an academy, but more importantly is actually the acceptance, okay, the susceptibility of the community kind of acceptance. That means actually we can bring in some impact, or we can sell something to the community. And if we can do so, basically we have really make up a very strong ecosystem, an entrepreneur ecosystem. So in this case is, in short or in summary, what we want to achieve is actually we can get students to at least at the start to be able to sell something. Perhaps in the other worlds, or I won't say in other worlds, in general, a lot of people say, oh, selling something is simple. Correct. But if you look at our today's generation in the university in general, most of them, okay, just focus on their studies, okay, and they start their journey in the university have no exposure at all. So this could be something that is worth for the student to explore on how do they sell something. Of course, there are so many ways to do it, but as a university at Utah, we decided to go for something called get them to involve on the retail supply chain. So over here, you can see a lot of students actually they are at the market, they are the buyer, they are the consumer. Okay. Of course, there are many ways to actually get students to be able to sell something, but what we think is make it easy. Something that they are very familiar with is actually the retail supply chain or supply chain in general, from the manufacturer, be it a grocer, a manufacturer, a retailer, a brand owner. They're actually the one that produce the products that eventually the student itself actually one of the big market. Okay, so they're actually standing at the right hand side, which is the market, and we want to introduce them. Okay, how do they actually get to know, right, the left hand side from the producer, from the original place? How do they deliver to them? That is the physical supply chain. And what is the evolution happen in the past, and what is happening that is current, and what will happen to them very soon. So In this diagram, actually, we show that in the original or in the very traditional, conventional way of the supply chain, basically the manufacturer produce the products within their own distribution network. Then actually they pass the product actually to distributor to wholesaler to retailer, and then it end up at the market. And the student themselves or anyone, right, who are the consumer, they buy from the retailer. But introductions of this e-marketplace like Alibaba, Taobao, and all this, it gives a big, what we call disruption to the entire supply chain. Okay, instead of you have to buy through the retailer, or if you do not have the volume, what they call, you can't buy from the distributor. Now you are almost connected directly to a small retailer. It can be a big supplier, or even to the manufacturer directly. So this kind of disruption really changed the way we get something what we want. All right, and it's happening, and we call that e-commerce. But moving forward, we know that the kind of demand of the delivery, because the foundation already been there. Okay, I can get a product as a consumer from the manufacturer as long as I have the internet. I can go online, I can buy it. But now we are also experiencing another wave of change, which is actually the delivery. Okay, the last mile delivery, they want it to be within an hour. And we will foresee that is happening. Okay, you can see one after another kind of product and services will be delivered to the customer almost instantly. So in that case, the retail and the distribution network was basically merged together. So we wish actually this part of the kind of evolution can create some impact to the students, and they know how to apply it, because they are going to be the main contributor to the market on the industry eventually. It involves everything. It involves the entire manufacturing production line. It involves the entire logistic. It involves the automations. It involves actually the retail business and distribution, warehousing, and all that, which is actually involve a very big industry. And in general, they need to know what is going to happen to them. So this is something where, through the collaboration, all right, we actually at Utah and later on with other universities, actually we will be able to provide a student a platform to do that. So basically, this is how we actually implement the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Many students, they come to us, University Center, as a center to cultivate the entrepreneurial kind of cultures to the students. They come, okay, normally I see that, and we see that as two categories, right? One is the one that they already have business plan. They have some business idea, and they want to go and engage with the industry, or go and engage or get some funding. So we call that these are the students who have actually experienced, or at least some ideas how they want to actually involve in some sort of business, and we will call that more ready students. There are actually another very big majority of the students who have no ideas. Actually, they now to do business, or how to involve in this what we call trading, or even a simple business. We will say that these are not ready students. Okay, so over here, actually, we created two paths. One is called the Structural Entrepreneurship Cultivation Program, STEP. All right. The other one is a Structural Entrepreneurship Cultivation Program Plus, STEP Plus. Okay. You can see here, I classified them as SME. The other one is Innovation-Driven Entrepreneurs. So over here, you can see if those students who are not ready, okay, they actually can come to us. All right. We provide a platform to provide trainings to them. All right. And instead of creating their own products, actually they can just adopt a product, okay, and they need to know how to do a product pitching, basically the marketing skill, the costing skill, and all this before they can actually launch it to the market, before it goes to markets. And we already have a platform, okay, jointly developed together with our partners, and they can start to use that platform and start selling it. And over to the right corners here, you could see I put U1, U2, U3, U4 here. It's actually in Utah, we have developed this thing, and now we actually introduce the same kind of platform to other university. And the university that is going to be already on board, starting to implement the same thing is like Summer University, TAR UC, University Malaysia Terengganu, University Tun Hussein Ons, Segi University, and many more to come. So if we continue to pursue for this kind of platform and build along the way with all other universities, you can see that from here, we actually can connect them from one campus to another campus, and this form a multi-campus kind of platform. And this is the main topic I want to highlight for today's talk. All right. Of course, it will take time to actually develop the whole things, but as the first university to develop this part, now we actually are passing all the knowledge as well as experiences with other universities, and we will then form a multi-campus, what we call a supply chain network, and the student actually can cross-selling in between the university, within the university, connect to different suppliers, either it's big brands or local industry or their own brand, and that will make the entire what we call ecosystem. And this is what actually currently we are working together with all other universities to form an entrepreneurial ecosystem. And we believe in a year or two time, this network will actually cultivate a lot of entrepreneurs, because they actually already have a very good experience on selling to their own what we call classmate or own group within the university, and sell the same thing to other university and attract the crowd. So we basically form a very, very nice ecosystem where they can integrate the teaching, all right? They can integrate their practice, and they can actually learn all this part, okay, within a university network. All right. For those who actually are ready with what product actually they have developed themselves or innovate themselves, they can actually go through this kind of what we call a startup competition. They can even go for what we call the crowdfundings, and of course, that is basically the path to be entrepreneur. So this diagram basically is not just say only. We actually have the physical one, okay? Especially when you look at it at the Utah Sungai Long campus, as well as the Utah Kampa campus, actually we already have the physical center here. So we have the retail warehouse here, all right? We have the last mile delivery, which is delivered by J&T, and thanks to our collaborators, MCM Ecom and the MCM Biz Portal, basically they have actually sponsored the setup in the university to have what we call a campus fulfillment center, right? And we actually been training the student, not just knowing how to do the digital marketing, how to do the content creations, okay, how to know how to sell some things online and all that. They also can see how do the products from the manufacturer be kept at the retail warehouse and to be distributed through the customer, through the last mile delivery, either is through a courier service or through the rider service. And they learn all this, and they have a physical sense of how the products are moved around, which is, we think, is a very critical knowledge and experience that they need to pick up. Otherwise, they will remain in the virtual world and they do not know in the real world, these kind of physical products are still passing from one point and to the other point. What they can see from here is, instead of they have to go through the distribution network followed by the wholesaler before entering to the retailer, they could see actually all these points has already been eliminated. From the manufacturer, you can directly replenish or to put the products into this small warehouse, retail warehouse, and it can be directly distributed to the customer. And we are actually guiding them to the next generations of the supply chain network. The same thing also we have created in Kampa, Kampa campus, and this is actually to be duplicated in other universities, as I mentioned just now. Sunway University, TAG UC, University Malaysia Terengganu, Segi, and many more. So same setup is going to be duplicated there. So what you can see is, we have a courier counter here, actually is to fulfill the last mile delivery. And later on, we will also have the rider pickup service, which is going to be implemented sometime in June. So the student can see if it's for long haul or long distance kind of delivery, they can use the J&T courier service. If it's for short haul, which is nearby the community one, they can use the rider service. So that fulfill the e-commerce, as well as it could be e-grocery, it could be the others kind of instant delivery kind of services. And instead of having the warehouse somewhere very far from the what we call from the community, now they can build, okay, you can see the small warehouse here, and this is basically representing what we are experiencing now, for example, the Panda Mart, the Grand Mart, and more to come. So basically, the student can see the entire supply chain, the evolution, experience it, and more importantly is they not just see the physical items to be moved around, but they can also experience what is happening in the virtual world, meaning that the online platform. So together with MCM Ecom, actually we have developed a Utah e-marketplace, but this Utah e-marketplace actually is just meant for one campus. But when we include more campuses, then actually this entire platform is actually meant for other campuses only. Meaning that when the student or any consumer log in into the system, okay, or the apps, they actually can choose multiple campuses, okay, and the platform already been developed. So what the student will learn is actually how do they actually engage with the community to promote their products and sell it to the customer, and how do they get the products. This is a very important question for the student to learn. All right. For those who are very strong in commercialization of what they in their R&D, they can develop their own brand. They can develop their own products. For those who actually just want to have a taste of the pre-trained online business, then they can actually go and secure some online, what we call big brands who actually work with multiple campuses. Right. All this actually requires skill, because who holds the strong product, actually who can actually get good business. I think we all know about it. Of course, some of the students are very strong in Shopee's or they're strong in Lazada. They come in and they become the mentor for other students. Some of the suppliers, manufacturers like Purple Canes or more and more coming in, they also become the mentor for the students on how to come up with a special product or what we call a boutique product eventually. So all this is actually product development, which students actually can experience it when they're actually with us, right? So the next thing is, because of we have multiple campuses eventually, so somewhere we have their unique product that is going to be able to attract students from the Utah and Thai UC and others. And same thing is Utah itself, when they come out with their home brands or certain product which is special and unique, they can attract the buyers from other campuses. So that makes them understand how actually the importance of the entire supply chain and the uniqueness, or what we call the value, the differentiations of the product and services that can attract crowd. And that mindset, if it's already been a natural thing to them in their mind, when they're involved in R&D, even their master and PhD study, if very naturally they will actually look for a novel kind of study in order to pursue for the degree. Or if they venture into their career, they also will try to find their value proposition. All these are actually all related back to what have they experienced using this digital entrepreneurship ecosystem. So basically, what I have shared here, all right, is actually something which we are still in development, but the physical centers already been there. And the multiple campuses, okay, is all going to be implemented within this year with at least 5 to 6 universities on board. And in the next time when we come again with this sharing, I will definitely show you how actually from one campus we can deal with another campus, and within the campus, how do these actually be able to what we call that work together. Okay, with that, I would like to end my presentation here, and thank you very much for your time